friends. So over the past 2 weeks in our Zoom meetings and on our Google site, we have been working on making our story map for our encounter with a troll. So if you've been part of our Zoom meetings, you have seen this piece of paper. We folded our paper into 4 sections to help us plan our story. We are writing about what would happen if we ran into a troll just like the 3 billy goats did in the 3 billy goat scruff. So all stories have to have characters and settings if they're fiction stories. So the first thing we did is we wrote down what characters we wanted to have in our story. And this is your story. You get to pick your characters. So my characters in my story, I have me, the troll, and my cat named Bendy. The next thing we did was we picked out a setting. So I put up a Google Slides of lots of really awesome looking bridges all around the world. And you got to pick out which of those bridges you wanted to visit to encounter the troll. So I picked the Wave Bridge in Singapore. Some of you picked a rainbow bridge. Some of you picked a tower bridge. Some of you picked the Golden Gate Bridge. Any bridge that you wanted to visit to encounter the troll in your story. That is the setting, okay? Then you had to think of a problem and a solution. So the problem in my story was that my cat Bendy was lost and I was out looking for her. The solution to my problem, or how my problem got fixed in my story, was when I got to the Wave Bridge in Singapore, the troll offered to help me look for her, and then we found Bendy under the bridge. So in my story, my troll is nice. He is a kind troll. In your story, your troll might not be kind. He might be part of your problem in your story. So, characters, setting. Think of a problem you could have encountering a troll at a bridge, and then how you solved that problem. If you need help, you can think back to the problem in the 3 billy goat scruff and how they solved their problem, and you can think of a similar kind of problem. But I went for a very different kind of problem because it's my story. So this kind of story that has events that are told in order is called a narrative. Can you say that word with me? Narrative. And guess what? You have been writing narratives all year long. You just didn't know that it was called a narrative yet. So there are 2 kinds of narratives. There are personal narratives. Personal means that they are about you. So when I ask you to write in your journal about one super exciting thing that you did this weekend, you were writing a narrative. When I ask you to write about the best day that you had at school, that's a narrative. When I ask you to write about a time when you were brave, that's a narrative because it's a story that has events that are told in order. And we've learned some order words that help us write about the order of things. We've learned about first, next, then, last. But narratives don't have to be told using those words as long as our narrative has a beginning part, a middle part, and an ending part, just like the books that we read. The other kind of narrative that we have is called an imaginative narrative. Why do you think it would be called imaginative? It's another word we know that sounds a little bit like that. Imagination. So an imaginative narrative means that you are using your imagination to think of a new story. That's what this story is. This is an imaginative narrative. You are making up a story about a time when you would encounter a troll. So your activity for today, after you have finished filling out your chart, we're actually not going to do any writing with this story. I know. You just practiced building your characters, your setting, and your problem and your solution. That's the first part of being an author, is thinking about what your story is going to be about. So after you have finished filling in your paper, I want you to take a picture of it and put it on Seesaw. Then you're going to use your microphone to tell me your story. We're not going to write anything. You are just going to tell me. So I'm going to start by telling you about my story. Once upon a time, there was a teacher named Miss K. She was at home with her cat when her cat got out the door and ran away. Miss Kay looked everywhere. She looked all around the neighborhood, and finally she came to a wave bridge in Singapore. So she's looking all around the wave bridge, and then a troll comes out from underneath the bridge. Miss Kay is feeling very scared. She's never seen a troll before. But then the troll says the kindest thing. He said, "I will help you look for your cat." So Miss Kay and Mr. Troll walked along the wave bridge. Finally, Mr. Troll pointed down off the side of the bridge. "There she is," he shouted. Miss Kay ran to Bendy underneath the bridge. She was safe and sound, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. So in my story, you knew who my characters were. You knew where the story was taking place. My problem was that I had lost my cat, and my solution was that the troll helped me find her. Now, this story would probably need some editing if I was writing it. So I would have to go back and I would probably make my events a little bit more clear. But this is just to practice telling a story. So I want you to take a picture of your paper with your characters, setting, problem, and solution. And then I would like you to practice telling me your imaginative narrative or your story with events using your imagination. Okay? Have fun!